I was in the living room watching TV when my daughter-in-law walked in, turned it off and said, "Go to your room, old woman. This is my living room now." My son looked away. I grabbed my keys and left. The next day a man in a suit rang the doorbell. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you my story. I was watching the evening news when Vanessa walked into the living room. She didn't say hello. Didn't ask what I was watching. Just grabbed the remote from the coffee table and turned off the television. "Go to your room, old woman," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. "This is my living room now." I sat there frozen, trying to process what I just heard. My living room. The living room where my husband Otis and I had celebrated birthdays, holidays, watched our son Marcus grow up. The living room where we'd held each other after we got the cancer diagnosis, where I'd cried after Otis passed 3 years ago. My living room. In my house. "Vanessa," I said quietly, keeping my voice steady even though my heart was pounding. "This is my house." Not for long. She crossed her arms, looking down at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. "Marcus and I have been discussing it. You're too old to maintain this place. You should be in assisted living or some senior community. We're going to take over the house. It's better for everyone. Better for the kids to have space. Better for you to be with people your own age." I looked past her to where my son Marcus stood in the doorway. My only child. The boy I'd raised alone after his father died. The man I'd loved and supported and believed in. "Marcus?" My voice cracked. "Is this true?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. Just stared at the floor, hands in his pockets. "Mama," he said finally, still not looking at me. "Vanessa has a point. You are getting older. This house is a lot to take care of. We could manage it better. And the kids, Aaliyah and Jordan, need space to grow." Something inside me broke. Not my spirit, not my strength, but something else. The belief that my son would always protect me. The faith that family meant loyalty. "This is my house," I said, again. "Your father and I bought this house 45 years ago. We raised you here. This is my home." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Your husband is dead. You don't need 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. You're being selfish. Go to your room. We'll discuss the details tomorrow." She actually said it. Go to your room. Like I was a child. In my own house. I looked at Marcus one more time. Waited for him to say something. To tell his wife she was wrong. To defend his mother. He said nothing. Just kept staring at the floor. I stood up slowly, my 72-year-old knees protesting, walked to the front hall, grabbed my purse and my keys. "Mama, where are you going?" Marcus finally looked up. I didn't answer. Just walked out the front door and got in my car. I didn't cry until I was 3 blocks away. My name is Hattie Washington, and before I tell you about the man in the suit who rang the doorbell the next day, you need to understand who I am and what they didn't know about me. I'm 72 years old. A black woman born in South Los Angeles to parents who'd come west from Mississippi during the Great Migration. I grew up understanding the value of ownership, of having something that couldn't be taken away from you. I met Otis Washington when I was 23. He was 25, working construction, dreaming of something bigger. We fell in love fast, married within a year. Otis had a dream. He wanted to start his own construction company. Not just working for someone else, but building something of our own. We started with nothing. Otis doing small jobs, home repairs, bathroom renovations, deck building. I kept the books, managed the finances, handled the paperwork. Within 5 years we'd saved enough to hire our first employees. Within 10 years we had a crew of 20. Otis partnered with a man named Elijah Banks in 1985. Elijah was an architect and engineer who shared Otis's vision. Together they founded Washington Banks Construction. They specialized in commercial projects, office buildings, shopping centers, apartment complexes, big jobs that required expertise and capital and risk. For 15 years we built that company. Otis and Elijah working 100-hour weeks, me managing the business side, payroll, contracts, finances, everything. We had Marcus in 1985. I took 3 months off, then brought him to the office with me. He grew up in the construction trailer, playing with blueprints while I negotiated contracts. By 2000, Washington Banks Construction was one of the most respected commercial builders in Los Angeles. We'd completed over 50 major projects, employed 200 people. In 2005, a national construction conglomerate made an offer. $8 million for the company. Otis and Elijah sold $4 million each. Otis invested his share carefully. Real estate, stocks, bonds. He was smart about money, always had been. When he died 3 years ago, he left everything to me. The house, paid off decades ago. The investments, the rental properties we'd bought over the years. I'd continued managing it all. Made good decisions, grown the portfolio. I was worth approximately $10.5 million, but I'd never told Marcus the full amount. He knew his father and I had been comfortable. He knew we'd sold the company for a good amount, but he didn't know the details. Didn't know about the investment properties, the stock portfolio, the commercial building downtown that generated $30,000 per month in rental income. I'd kept it quiet deliberately. I wanted Marcus to work hard, to build his own life, to not depend on inheritance. Now, sitting in a hotel room after being kicked out of my own house, I realized my silence had been a mistake. Marcus thought I was just an old widow with a house. Someone vulnerable. Someone who could be pushed aside. He had no idea who he was dealing with. I called my best friend Viola, from the hotel room. Hattie, what's wrong? Why are you calling so late? Vanessa kicked me out of my house. My voice was shaking. Told me to go to my room. Said it's her living room now. Say what? That heifer. What did Marcus say? Nothing. He just stood there, looked at the floor. Viola let out a long sigh. Call the police. That's your house. And tell them what? My son and his wife live there. I can't just have them arrested, then call a lawyer. Hattie, you can't let them steal your house. After we hung up, I sat on the hotel bed thinking, the house was solely in my name. Otis had left it to me in his will. Marcus and Vanessa had been living there for 6 months as guests, not owners, but legally evicting them would be complicated, and it would destroy my relationship with my son forever. I'd lose access to my grandchildren. Aaliyah 8 years old and Jordan 6. I couldn't do that. Despite everything, they were still my grandbabies. I needed a different approach. Something that would make Marcus see what he was throwing away. Make him understand the magnitude of his mistake. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Found a name I hadn't called in over 5 years. Elijah Banks, my late husband's business partner and best friend. Elijah had become a lawyer after they sold the company. Specialized in estate planning and business law. He was 75 now, semi-retired but still sharp as ever. I pressed call. He answered on the 3rd ring. Hattie Washington, is that really you? Hi Elijah, I need help. Anything. What's wrong? I explained everything. Vanessa's words. Marcus's silence. Being forced out of my own home. That's elder abuse, Elijah said immediately. Financial exploitation. We can fight this. I want them out, but Elijah, they have the kids there. If I just evict them, Marcus will never forgive me. I'll lose Aaliyah and Jordan. So what do you want to do? I want them to realize what they're doing, what they're losing. I want Marcus to understand that I'm not some helpless old woman he can push around. Elijah was quiet for a moment. Does Marcus know about your financial situation? The full extent? No. He knows we sold the company and did well. But he doesn't know about the investments, the properties, the actual numbers. Then let's educate him. I'll prepare some documentation showing exactly what you own. Then I'll pay them a visit and explain what Marcus is throwing away. And Hattie? We're updating your will. New power of attorney. New beneficiaries. All documented and legal. I'll make it very clear who gets what if something happens to you. While I was planning my response, Marcus and Vanessa were celebrating. I found this out later, from Aaliyah, who told me what she'd overheard. Vanessa had opened a bottle of wine after I left. Finally, that old woman is gone. This house is ours now. Marcus had been uncomfortable. We can't just take her house, Ness. She's my mother. She's an old woman who doesn't need this much space. We have 2 kids, Marcus. We need this house. Besides, she'll be better off in a senior community, people her own age, activities, care if she needs it. But this is her home. Marcus, be a man. Vanessa's voice had turned sharp. Your mother has lived her life. Now it's our turn. This house is in a great neighborhood worth over $1 million. We could never afford something like this on your salary. Your mama should want to give it to us, for her grandchildren. It's selfish of her to keep it all for herself. According to Aaliyah, my sweet granddaughter sitting on the stairs listening to all this, Marcus had just nodded weakly. Vanessa had continued. We should redecorate immediately. I hate that old-fashioned furniture. And that wallpaper in the dining room is hideous. Once she's moved into an apartment somewhere, we'll gut this place. Make it modern and beautiful. Aaliyah had run to her room crying. She'd loved that wallpaper. Her grandpa Otis had put it up 20 years ago and I'd kept it because it reminded me of him. The next morning, I met with Elijah at his office. He'd pulled together all the documentation overnight, something only a lawyer who'd known my family for 40 years would do on such short notice. We sat in his conference room and he showed me what he'd prepared. Property deed for my house valued at $1.2 million in today's market, owned outright in my name. Investment portfolio statements, $4.2 million in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, all in my name. Deeds for 2 rental properties in San Diego combined value $1.5 million, generating $6,000 per month in rental income. Deed for commercial property in downtown LA, valued at $2.8 million, generating $30,000 per month in rental income from business tenants. Bank statements, $800,000 in liquid accounts. Total net worth, $10.5 million. This is what Marcus doesn't know. Elijah said, he thinks you're just a widow with a house. He has no idea you're a multimillionaire. I looked at the numbers, 45 years of hard work, Otis's brilliant investments, my careful management after he died, all of it adding up to financial security I'd never flaunted, never discussed, never used to show off. Now, Elijah continued, let's talk about your will. He pulled out my existing will, drafted when Otis died. It was simple, everything to Marcus. If something happened to me, my son would inherit everything. We're changing this, Elijah said. New will, new structure. Are you ready? Yes. He showed me the new will he drafted. It was ruthless and precise. Primary beneficiaries, Aaliyah and Jordan, my grandchildren, they would inherit the house and all investments in a trust, managed by Elijah as trustee, accessible when they turned 25. Secondary beneficiary, Marcus would receive nothing. 0, explicitly disinherited. The will stated clearly, my son Marcus has shown that he values property over family, therefore he receives no property from me. This is harsh, Elijah said. Are you sure? I'm sure. But Elijah, there's one more thing I want to add. What? A provision. If Marcus divorces Vanessa within 90 days and demonstrates genuine remorse and change, he can be reinstated with a 30% share. The kids would still get the majority, but he'd get something. A way back into your good graces? Yes. But only if he makes the right choice. Only if he shows me he can stand up for what's right. Elijah added the provision. This is good. It gives him an option. A hard choice, but an option. Now, do you want me to deliver this in person? Yes. Go to the house this morning. Show Marcus and Vanessa exactly what they're trying to steal. And Elijah, yes, bring eviction papers. Properly filed. Give them 30 days to vacate. You're sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Elijah arrived at my house. I still thought of it as my house. At 10 a.m., he told me later what happened, and Marcus confirmed the details during one of our difficult conversations afterward. Vanessa answered the door. She was wearing one of her expensive outfits, yoga pants and designer top that probably cost $300, money they didn't have. I'd learned. They were drowning in credit card debt. Can I help you? Vanessa had asked, looking at Elijah's expensive suit with interest. She always perked up around wealthy-looking people. Good morning, I'm Elijah Banks, attorney at law. I'm here to see Marcus Washington regarding legal matters concerning Hattie Washington and her estate. Vanessa's face had gone pale. Estate? Is Hattie okay? Mrs. Washington is fine. She's staying at a hotel because, as I understand it, you told her to leave her own home. May I come in? Marcus had appeared then. I'm Marcus Washington. What's this about? I'm Hattie Washington's attorney. I need to speak with you about several urgent legal matters concerning your current living situation and your mother's estate. They'd let him into the living room, my living room, where Vanessa had told me to go to my room just 24 hours earlier. Elijah had sat down, opened his briefcase with deliberate slowness and pulled out the documents. Mr. Washington, Mrs. Washington, he'd begun, his voice formal and cold. I'm here to clarify some serious misunderstandings about Hattie Washington's financial situation. You seem to believe that Hattie is an elderly widow with limited means, who needs your help managing this house. That belief is incorrect. Let me show you exactly what Hattie owns. He'd laid out the documents one by one. Property deed, investment statements, rental property deeds, commercial building deed, bank statements. The house you're currently occupying valued at $1.2 million, owned outright with no mortgage. Investment portfolio $4.2 million. 2 rental properties in San Diego, combined value $1.5 million. Commercial property in downtown Los Angeles, $2.8 million. Liquid assets in bank accounts, $800,000. Total net worth, approximately $10.5 million. Elijah told me that Marcus's face had gone completely white. That can't be right. My parents were comfortable, but not millionaires. Your father Otis and I built Washington Bank's construction in the 1980s. Elijah had explained. We sold it in 2005 for $8 million. Otis received $4 million as his share. He invested it wisely. Hattie has continued managing those investments since his death, and she's done an excellent job. She's been living modestly by choice, not necessity. She could afford a mansion in Beverly Hills if she wanted one. Vanessa had actually stammered. $10 million? She has $10 million and never told us. It wasn't your business to know, Elijah had said coldly. Then he'd pulled out the will. Now, let's discuss Hattie's last will and testament. Previously, Hattie's will left everything to Marcus. The house, the investments, all of it. You would have inherited approximately $10.5 million upon her death. He'd let that sink in. $10.5 million. Gone. However, given recent events, Hattie has instructed me to draft a new will. He'd shown them the document. In this new will, Hattie leaves the house and all investments to her grandchildren, Aaliyah and Jordan, in a trust. The trust will be managed by me, as trustee until they reach age 25. Marcus, you receive nothing. You are explicitly and intentionally disinherited. The will specifically states, my son Marcus has shown that he values property over family. Therefore he receives no property from me. Marcus had stood up, agitated. She can't do that. I'm her son. She absolutely can. It's her property. She has the legal right to leave it to whomever she chooses. And she chooses her grandchildren, not you. Elijah had continued methodically. Hattie is also revoking any power of attorney you might claim. She's updating all beneficiary designations on life insurance policies, retirement accounts, everything. Where you were once listed as beneficiary, you've been removed. Vanessa had found her voice then, shrill and panicked. This is ridiculous. We have rights. We've been living here for 6 months. You've been living here as guests at Hattie's generosity. You have no legal claim to this property. You're not on the deed. You don't pay the mortgage because there is no mortgage. You have zero ownership. Then Elijah had pulled out the final document. And now I'm serving you with formal eviction notice. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. He'd handed Marcus the papers. Official, properly filed with the county. Legal and binding. 30 days, Mr. Washington. If you're not out by then, Hattie will pursue legal eviction through the courts, which will go on your record and make it difficult to rent anywhere else. Vanessa had been yelling by then. You can't do this. We have children. You're going to make your grandchildren homeless? You're going to make your children homeless by forcing your mother-in-law out of her own home. Elijah had corrected. Hattie offered you a place to stay temporarily. You responded by trying to steal her house. Actions have consequences. I suggest you start looking for new accommodations. You have 29 days left. Elijah had walked out, leaving them with the documents and the reality of what they'd done. Marcus called me within an hour. Mama, please, we need to talk. My heart ached at the sound of his voice. Despite everything, he was still my son, but I kept my voice cold. We can talk when you've moved out of my house. Mama, I'm sorry. Vanessa was out of line. I should have defended you. Yes, Marcus, you should have. But you didn't. Please. Can we fix this? I didn't know. I had no idea you were. I didn't know about the money. And if I wasn't wealthy, I asked. If I was just a poor widow with nothing but this house, would it be okay to kick me out then? Silence. That's what I thought. I said quietly. Marcus, you didn't stand up for me when you thought I was vulnerable. You only care now that you know I'm rich. That tells me everything I need to know. Mama, that's not fair. You have 30 days. Pack your things. Find somewhere else to live. I hung up. Then I cried for an hour. Because loving someone doesn't stop just because they've hurt you. Over the next week, Vanessa tried everything. She brought Aaliyah and Jordan to my hotel. My sweet grandchildren, confused and upset. Grandma, Aaliyah had run to me and I'd caught her in a hug, breathing in her little girl's smell of strawberry shampoo and sunshine. Mama says you're mad at Daddy. I'm not mad, baby. I told her, kneeling down to her level. But Mama and Daddy need to find their own house. Grandma's house is for Grandma. Jordan had climbed into my lap. but I like your house. It has my toys. You can take your toys with you, baby. And you can visit Grandma anytime. This isn't about you. I love you so much. Vanessa had been standing there, arms crossed. You're punishing your grandchildren. Traumatizing them. What kind of grandmother does this? The kind who won't let you teach them that stealing is acceptable. Aaliyah, Jordan, go play in the lobby for a minute. I can see you from here. Once they were out of earshot, I turned to Vanessa. Don't you dare use those children as weapons. This situation is your fault, not mine. You're being vindictive. I'm being protective. Of myself, my property, and honestly, of those kids. They don't need to grow up watching their mother manipulate and steal. You can't cut off Marcus. He's your only child. Watch me. Vanessa had tried another tactic. She'd called my sister Lucille, my nephew Darius, other family members. Hattie is kicking us out, with 2 small children. She's being cruel and heartless. But my family knew Vanessa. They'd watched her be rude to waiters, condescending to anyone she considered beneath her, demanding and entitled for 12 years. Lucille had called me laughing. Vanessa tried to tell me you're the bad guy. I told her she's lucky you're only evicting her and not pressing charges for elder abuse. What did she say? She said it's not elder abuse to tell someone they're too old for their house. I told her to look up financial exploitation of the elderly and hung up. Vanessa tried lawyers too. Consultations with 3 different attorneys. They all told her the same thing. It's her house. She has every legal right to evict you. You have no claim to the property. What about grandparent rights? Vanessa had asked. She can't keep the kids from seeing her. She's not keeping the kids from seeing her. She's evicting you from her property. Those are completely different things. You have no legal recourse here. Vanessa had even tried to get Marcus's agreement to sue me for something. Anything. But Marcus, to his credit, had refused. I'm not suing my mother, this is already bad enough. 2 weeks into the 30-day eviction period, I got another call from Elijah. Hattie, I had a conversation with Marcus. He asked if there was any way to avoid the eviction. Any compromise. What did you tell him? I told him you might be willing to discuss alternatives. But Hattie, I think you should meet with him. Alone. Without Vanessa. Why? Because I think he's starting to understand what he's lost. And I think he might be ready to hear what you have to say. I agreed to meet Marcus at the hotel restaurant. Neutral territory. Public enough that we'd both stay civil. He arrived exactly on time, looking thinner than I remembered. Worn down, there were dark circles under his eyes. Mama. He stood awkwardly until I gestured for him to sit. Marcus. We ordered coffee. Sat in painful silence until the server left. Mama, I'm so sorry. His voice cracked. I should have defended you. What Vanessa said was awful, and I should have stood up to her. Yes, you should have, but you didn't. Why not? He stared into his coffee cup. Because it's easier. It's always been easier to just go along with what Vanessa wants. She's very strong-willed, and when I disagree with her, she makes life miserable. It's just easier to avoid the fight. So you sacrificed your mother to avoid a fight with your wife. I know how that sounds. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you've spent 12 years being a coward. He flinched, but didn't argue. I leaned forward. Marcus, I need you to understand something. When Vanessa told me to go to my room, she didn't just insult me. She showed me exactly what she thinks of me. What she's always thought of me. I'm not a person to her. I'm an obstacle. Something in her way. And you. I paused, choosing my words carefully. You showed me that you agree with her. I don't. Your actions say otherwise. You stood there and let her treat me like garbage. Like I'm nothing. I'm sorry. I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't change the fact that you chose her over me. Over basic human decency. We sat in silence. Then I took a deep breath. I'm going to offer you something, Marcus. One time, one choice. What you do with it is up to you. He looked up, hope flashing across his face. Option 1. You and Vanessa move out within the 30 days as required. You take the kids, find your own place, make your own way. I'll set up trust funds for Aaliyah and Jordan, $50,000 each for college. But you get nothing from me. You're disinherited. You make your own life. Option 2. I paused, watching his face. You divorce Vanessa. You file for custody of Aaliyah and Jordan. You move somewhere new, not back to my house, and start fresh. If you choose this option, I'll help you financially. Down payment on a modest house. Support while you get stable. The kids get bigger trust funds. $100,000 each. And you get a second chance with me. A real relationship. Not this toxic dynamic Vanessa has created. But you have to choose, Marcus. Your wife or your family. Your comfort or your integrity. He stared at me. Mama, you can't ask me to choose between my wife and my mother. I'm not. I'm asking you to choose between a toxic marriage that's made you into someone I don't recognize, and the chance to be the man I raised you to be. But we have kids together, and you can co-parent them. Divorced people do it all the time. Marcus, be honest with yourself. Are you happy with Vanessa? The question hung in the air. He stopped. Started again. No, I haven't been happy in years, but I don't know how to leave. The kids need their mother. The kids need healthy parents. Not parents in a toxic marriage where daddy is bullied and mama is manipulative. You think Vanessa bullies me? I know she does. I've watched it for 12 years. She criticizes you constantly, controls the money, the decisions, everything. Makes you feel small and stupid. That's emotional abuse, Marcus. He was crying now, silent tears running down his face. What kind of example are you setting for Aaliyah and Jordan? I asked gently. Aaliyah is 8. She's watching how Vanessa treats you, how you let her treat you. Is that what you want her to think marriage looks like? No, then change it. Make a different choice. Be brave enough to stand up for yourself and for what's right. How long do I have to decide? 48 hours? After that, the only option is eviction and disinheritance. I stood up, put money on the table for the coffee. I love you, Marcus. I always will, but I won't watch you destroy yourself anymore, and I won't let Vanessa destroy me. 2 days. Choose. Marcus didn't tell Vanessa about our conversation. He told me this later during one of our long talks after everything had settled. He'd gone home to my house, the house they still had for 2 more weeks, and spent the night lying awake while Vanessa slept beside him. He thought about his marriage. Really thought about it for the first time in years. He realized he was miserable, had been miserable for most of their 12 years together. Vanessa criticized everything he did. The way he dressed, the way he talked, his job, his salary, his family, his opinions. She controlled all their money. He had to ask permission to buy anything, even though he was the one earning the paycheck. She made decisions without consulting him, where they lived, how they decorated, what cars they drove, where the kids went to school. She flirted with other men at parties, then accused him of being jealous when he objected. She spent money they didn't have on clothes, furniture, keeping up appearances. They were $80,000 in credit card debt. He'd found out 3 months ago. The only reason he'd stayed was fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of losing the kids. Fear of Vanessa's rage. But looking at his life honestly, he realized something. He was already alone. Vanessa didn't love him. She'd married him because she thought he'd be successful, make money, give her the lifestyle she wanted. When he'd turned out to be just a regular engineer with a regular salary, she'd become bitter, resentful. The only reason she wanted my house was to make up for the life she thought she deserved. And he'd been willing to sacrifice his mother for that. For Vanessa's delusion, for his own cowardice. That realization broke something in him. On the morning of the second day he told Vanessa he wanted a divorce. She'd laughed. Actually laughed. What? Because your mommy told you to? No. Because I've been unhappy for years and I finally admitted it to myself. This is about the money. You want your inheritance. It's about self-respect. You told my mother to go to her room, in her own house, and I let you. That's who I've become with you. Someone who lets people he loves be hurt. I don't want to be that person anymore. Vanessa's rage had been spectacular. She'd screamed, thrown things, threatened to take the kids and disappear. You're choosing her over me. I'm choosing myself. And our kids. They deserve to see healthy relationships. Not this. Fine. Divorce me. But I'm taking Aaliyah and Jordan, and I'm taking half of everything you'll inherit. You can try. But I'm filing for primary custody. And there's no inheritance to split if we're divorced. My mother's will leaves everything to the kids. Not to me. She'd called her lawyer immediately. Filed for divorce within days. Demanded full custody, maximum child support, alimony, but the court investigation didn't go the way she expected. Family court is designed to determine what's best for the children. Not what's fair to the parents, but what's best for the kids. The court appointed an investigator to evaluate both parents. The investigator visited Marcus's new apartment, a modest 2-bedroom he'd rented with help from me. It was clean, safe, close to the kids' school. He'd set up a bedroom for Aaliyah and Jordan with their toys, their favorite blankets, their books. The investigator visited Vanessa's situation. She'd moved in with a friend after being evicted from my house. She was sleeping on a couch. She had no job and no income beyond the temporary child support. The investigator interviewed the kids. Aaliyah, my sweet 8-year-old granddaughter, told the truth. Mama is always yelling. She says mean things to Daddy. She's mad all the time. Who do you feel safer with? The investigator asked. Daddy. He's nicer. He doesn't yell. Jordan, at 6, echoed his sister. Daddy reads to me. Mama is on her phone. The investigator reviewed finances. Marcus had a steady job as a civil engineer, making $95,000 per year. Vanessa had no employment and a history of extravagant spending. The investigator's report was damning for Vanessa. Mother appears focused on material concerns rather than children's well-being. Father demonstrates stable, nurturing environment. The judge granted Marcus primary custody 70-30 split. Aaliyah and Jordan would live with Marcus, visit Vanessa every other weekend and some holidays. Child support was minimal. Vanessa would pay Marcus $400 per month, though enforcement would be difficult given her lack of income. No alimony. The marriage had been 12 years, Vanessa was able-bodied and capable of working, and the court found no reason for ongoing support. Vanessa lost nearly everything. The kids. The house, which had never been hers anyway. The comfortable life she'd felt entitled to. She had to get a job, something she hadn't done in 10 years. She ended up working retail at a department store making $32,000 per year. She moved into a small apartment in a less desirable neighborhood. Drove a used car. Lived a modest life. The life she'd looked down on for so many years. 6 months after Vanessa kicked me out of my living room, I was back home. The house felt different now. Lighter. Somehow, I'd had it deep cleaned, repaired the few things Vanessa had damaged in her anger, and repainted Aaliyah and Jordan's room in their favorite colors. Marcus had found his footing. He was in therapy working on understanding why he'd let Vanessa control him for so long. I think I was afraid of being like my father, he told me during one of our Sunday dinners. Pops was so strong, so confident. I never felt like I measured up. Vanessa seemed so sure of everything. I thought if I just did what she wanted, I'd be enough. But you were always enough, son. You just needed to believe it. He was dating someone new. A woman named Nia who taught 3rd grade at Aaliyah's school. They'd met at a parent-teacher conference. Nia was kind, warm. She spoke to people, waiters, store clerks, everyone with respect. She laughed easily. She asked Marcus's opinions and actually listened to his answers. The first time she came to Sunday dinner at my house, she'd brought flowers. Mrs. Washington, thank you so much for having me. Your home is beautiful. Call me Hattie, please. And you're always welcome. I'd watched Marcus with her. Watched him smile genuinely for the first time in years. Watched him relax, joke, be himself. This was the man I'd raised. Not the beaten-down shadow Vanessa had created. Aaliyah and Jordan thrived in the new arrangement. Better grades, happier, more stable. Aaliyah told me once, while we were baking cookies, I like it better now, Grandma. Daddy doesn't look sad anymore. Are you sad about Mama and Daddy not being together? A little. But Mama was always mad before. Now when we see her, she's trying to be nice, and Daddy is happy with Miss Nos. It's better. Out of the mouths of babes, I updated my will again. Elijah drew up a new version. Aaliyah and Jordan, 35% each, in trusts until age 25. Marcus, 30% to be distributed when I died. The will included a clause. My son Marcus made a difficult choice to change his life. He showed courage and growth. He is welcomed back into my heart and my estate. The house would go to the kids, but Marcus had lifetime right to live there if he needed to. You've given him another chance, Elijah said when I signed the documents. He earned it. He stood up to Vanessa. He chose his integrity over his comfort. That takes strength. What if he and Vanessa had stayed together? Then he'd get nothing. But he made the right choice. Do you think he did it for the money? I thought about that. Maybe partly, but I also think he did it because he finally saw who he'd become. And he didn't like it. Whatever the reason, he made the change. That's what matters. 1 year after the go to your room incident, we had a family gathering at my house. Sunday dinner. My tradition, Marcus, Aaliyah, Jordan, and Nia. My sister Lucille and her family. Close friends. The house was full of laughter and the smell of my cooking. Smothered chicken, collard greens, mac and cheese, candied yams. The soul food of my heritage, my family. Aaliyah and Jordan were playing in the backyard, their squeals of joy floating through the open windows. Marcus and Nia were in the kitchen helping me cook. Naya was coring apples for the cobbler like she'd been doing it her whole life. My big mama taught me, she explained. Sunday dinners were sacred in our house too. Smart woman, I said. After dinner, after the kids had been put to bed in their room at my house, Marcus and I sat on the patio. Mama, I never properly thanked you. For what? For giving me that choice. Divorce Vanessa or lose you forever. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, he said. But it saved my life. I was miserable with Vanessa. I was becoming someone I hated. You forced me to choose who I wanted to be. I gave you a choice. You made it. That's all you, baby. Vanessa still tries to cause problems. Calls about custody, about money, tries to make me feel guilty. How do you handle it? I don't engage. I communicate only about the kids. Only what's necessary. Everything else I ignore. My therapist taught me that. I'm proud of you. We sat in comfortable silence, listening to the night sounds of the neighborhood, my home. Mama, can I ask you something? Anything. Why didn't you tell me about the money, about how much you and Pops had? I thought about how to answer. Because I wanted you to work for your own success. Not coast on ours. Your father and I built that company from nothing. We wanted you to understand the value of hard work. But maybe we were wrong. Maybe if you'd known, Vanessa wouldn't have thought she could take the house. Or maybe if I'd known, I would have felt entitled to it without earning it. Maybe it would have made me weaker, not stronger. I think you did the right thing, Mama. I needed to learn to stand on my own. I just wish I'd learned it sooner. 2 years after everything happened, I got a letter from Vanessa, handwritten on cheap paper. I almost threw it away. But curiosity got the better of me. Hattie, I'm writing to say I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know I can't take back what I said or did. I was wrong to treat you the way I did. You opened your home to us, helped us when we needed it, and I repaid you with cruelty. I told you to go to your room in your own house. I tried to steal your home. I was terrible to you for years before that. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm writing because I want you to know that losing everything taught me things I should have learned a long time ago. I'm working now. Retail. Nothing glamorous. I'm living in a small apartment. I see my kids every other weekend. It's humbling. And honestly, it's good for me. I spent so many years thinking I deserved more than I had. That life owed me something. That I should have the house, the car, the lifestyle without having to work for it. You and Otis worked for everything you had. You earned it. I tried to take it. I'm sorry. I hope Olivia and Jordan grow up knowing their grandmother. You're a good woman, Hattie. Better than I deserved. Vanessa, I read it twice. Then I wrote back. Brief and honest. Vanessa, thank you for your letter. I accept your apology. I hope you've learned from this experience. I hope you're building a better life for yourself. Aaliyah and Jordan do know me. They're with me every Sunday. They're happy, healthy, loved. I wish you well. Hattie, I never heard from her again. But I heard through Marcus that she'd gotten promoted at work, moved to a better apartment, started dating someone who treated her well. Maybe she really had changed. Or maybe she'd just learned to hide it better. Either way, it wasn't my concern anymore. I'm Hattie Washington. I'm 74 years old now. I was in the living room watching TV when my daughter-in-law walked in, turned it off and said, "Go to your room, old woman. This is my living room now." My son looked away. Didn't defend me, didn't stand up for me. I grabbed my keys and left without a word. The next day, a man in a suit rang their doorbell. My attorney, Elijah Banks. Carrying documents showing I was worth $10.5 million. Carrying eviction notices. Carrying a new will that disinherited my son. Vanessa thought I was a helpless old widow. Thought my house would be easy to take. Thought old woman meant weak and powerless. She was wrong. My late husband Otis and I had built a construction empire. We'd sold it for $8 million. We'd invested wisely, bought properties, created wealth that would last generations. I'd been living modestly by choice, not necessity. Keeping my wealth quiet, not flaunting it. But when someone tried to steal from me, I showed them exactly who they were dealing with. I gave my son a choice, his toxic wife or his family, his comfort or his integrity. He chose right. He divorced Vanessa. He fought for custody of his kids. He started rebuilding his life. Vanessa lost everything. The house she'd tried to steal, the husband she'd controlled for 12 years, primary custody of her children. She ended up working retail, living in a small apartment, seeing her kids every other weekend. Meanwhile, I'm here, in my living room, in my house. My son comes to Sunday dinner every week with my grandchildren and his new girlfriend. Nia is kind, respectful, treats Marcus like an equal. Aaliyah and Jordan are thriving. They sleep in their room at my house every Sunday night. They know their grandmother loves them. Marcus is rebuilding himself. Therapy, work, dating, parenting. He's becoming the man I always knew he could be. And me? I'm still here. Still living in the home Otis and I built 45 years ago. Still managing my investments. Still baking peach cobbler on Sunday mornings. Still powerful. Still independent. Still standing. Vanessa called me an old woman like it was an insult. But this old woman built a multi-million-dollar company. This old woman raised a son and taught him, eventually, to stand up for himself. This old woman protected her home, her dignity and her grandchildren. This old woman doesn't lose. I didn't destroy Vanessa. I just stopped allowing her to steal from me. I gave her consequences for her actions. And I gave my son the hardest choice of his life. The choice that saved him. That's not revenge. That's love. Tough love, but love nonetheless. You don't tell someone to go to their room in their own house and expect no consequences, especially when that someone is a 74-year-old black woman who built an empire with her bare hands. We may look like easy targets. We may seem vulnerable, but we're stronger than you know, smarter than you think, more powerful than you imagine. Vanessa learned that the hard way. My son learned it too, and he's better for it. Now he's teaching his children. Teaching them that Grandma Hattie is strong, that family matters, that respect is earned and required. They'll never forget that lesson, and neither will I. I'm Hattie Washington. This is my living room. This is my house, and I'm not going anywhere.